What's up, everybody? My name's Chris Enriquez, and tonight I'm your host for this new show called Age of Quarantine. I started this show on my personal Instagram channel, and the guys at St. Vitus all were into it. So we're gonna do it over here now. And tonight, my special guests are the New York hardcore band Incendiary. Really good friends of mine. Really excited to talk to them. And just to give you a quick background on what we're doing here, I decided a couple days ago that I was bored out of my mind. I hadn't seen any human beings in about 2 weeks since all this started. And, since it started getting scary. And I'm used to being social. I work at Revolver magazine, if you guys are familiar with Revolver. And, it's just a shitty situation seeing... especially my musician friends, gigs getting canceled, festivals getting canceled, all sorts of stuff. And I play in the band Spotlights, and I was also going to be playing at Roadburn for Julie Christmas, playing drums with her. So, it affected me in many ways, and I just wanted to get creative. So I'm trying to help out my friends at St. Vitus. This is a difficult time for the live music industry right now. And if you visit their Facebook, you can find the link to their Venmo so you can donate and help them and the staff out. In the meantime, every night, Monday through Friday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, myself, Chris Enriquez, you can follow me at Chris Enriquez Drums. I'll be hosting along with one of the co-owners of St. Vitus, David Castillo, who's also the talent booker. We're going to be taking turns interviewing bands and different types of people in the music industry. Tonight, again, I'll be joined with Incendiary. In just 1 second, I'll be getting them in here. But at the end of this program, we'll give you the schedule on the rest of the week and the following week as well. So right now, I'm going to be joined by Brian Audley of Incendiary. You hear right now Incendiary in the background, Front Towards Enemy. And if you guys aren't familiar with these guys, oh, shit. Just doing a quick drop here. I have Front Towards Enemy playing in the background from Incendiary's 1,000 Mile Stare. Hey, man, what's up? Hey, can you turn the volume down a little bit, actually? Because my voice is kind of doing a weird...
Turn mine down a little bit?
Yeah, just so that I'm not so loud. It's like
how's that? Can you hear me all right?
I could hear you. Okay, perfect. What's up, man?
Good.
How are you? Thanks for joining us.
I'm good. Yeah, no problem.
Hell yeah. So I was just telling everybody before you joined in who's going to be on the show. And, basically every night we're going to be talking to different artists. Tonight we have you guys. Last night was Russian Circles. At the end, I'll let everyone else know who's going to be on the calendar. But Brian, you guys I know are not a full-time band, but I'm sure you have a lot of friends that this has been affecting. What's it been like for you since all this shit went down?
I mean, personally, for our band in particular, I mean, we didn't have a very active schedule of a whole lot of things coming up. We just came off a bunch of shows early in the year, and we didn't really have anything, or don't really have anything on the calendar until June. That stuff, as far as I know, is still on, but I mean, part of me feels like it's only a matter of time. I'm not super optimistic about, the things we have in June. So it didn't result in any kind of immediate cancellations, or, it certainly didn't affect us as hard as, many of our friends and other bands out there. But yeah, it could bump into some trouble for us down the road in June.
I hope that you guys can get back on your feet. We already have some comments. It looks like somebody was bummed that you didn't play in Idaho on your last tour.
Yeah, that's Terry. Terry is our merch guy. He's trolling us right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And,
there you go, Terry. Happy?
Earlier, someone was saying, please come to Australia. So obviously the demand is there.
Yeah. Australia was something that we were targeting to do for finally get over there in August. And after years, right, that was kind of one of the last big bucket list items that we had. And it looked like this was going to be the year, and we got, an offer that made a lot of sense. We were in touch with the right people over there. But unfortunately, we just found out a couple weeks ago that the festival that was planned around was canceled. So doesn't look like that'll be happening this year.
Yeah, I don't think any of us know when we're going to be out playing shows again. But I want to ask you some questions, but I don't want to ignore people. And it looks like, and you can answer this however way you want. Beautiful Squirrel 44 wants to know, when's the next Incendiary album?
Well, I guess that is one of the upsides to having a lot of downtime and being stuck in the house, being able to work from home. It's we're able to, or I'm personally a little more able to dedicate some free time to writing some new shit and working on some new material. So there's no, I mean, just speaking very honestly, there's no real plan for our next album. I'm sure there'll be some type of new music in the future. Not sure what format or what timeline that's on, but having all this time at home to do nothing but sit around and play guitar and write is definitely going to accelerate that process, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Your lead singer wants to know what your favorite Blink-182 album is. You're getting
that's easy.
Your own bandmate.
Yeah, that's easy. No Blink-182 album. I think he knows how much I actually dislike that band.
I am not a Blink-182 fan, but sticking to the topic, which is interesting, Blink-182 did play at St. Vitus. Have you ever been to any of those underplay shows or any of those secret shows that happened at St. Vitus over the years?
Yeah, I think so. I think the Hum show, before Hum did that first big New York show at Webster Hall.
Yeah, with Failure. Yeah.
Yeah, Hum played Vitus the night before that. I was at that. That was awesome. I never thought I'd see that band, period, let alone see them in a room like that. And I don't know, would you call that Glassjaw show an underplay? Yeah, probably, right?
Yeah, that was an underplay. Yeah. Hey, how do we want to deal with trolls? Do we want to fuck with trolls?
If I know them, no. Ghost boobs, you can fuck off, Yako.
Hey, Ghost Boobs, Incendiary draws fucking mad people everywhere they go. So if you want to start your own show, go for it, buddy. This is the best part about having a platform. Beautiful Scroll wants to know something about you, which and I'll go into my questions. But this is interesting because Incendiary's musically, you're not like a traditional hardcore band. You have a lot of different sort of like influences. You can hear some Dead Guy in there. You can hear some Indecision. You can hear a little bit of everything. But this person on here was surprised that you're a fan of shoegaze, is what they're saying. But you have a very diverse palette for music.
Yeah, I think we all kind of do. I think we all have some different interests that all kind of add to the sound, I guess. But I mean, the things that we agree on, we all agree on, and I think that's kind of what kind of drew us together to begin with and kind of made the sound what it was to start with. But yeah, I think we all have some pretty wildly different influences, but it's the stuff that we agree on enough stuff that it's made the band work.
Yeah, no, and I've heard Brendan say this before too, which is like, in interviews he's mentioned you guys started out playing your own brand of hardcore, whatever you want to call it. It's got like very 90s elements to it, and also kind of your own twist on it at the same time. But I think I heard a quote where he said, "Just because we like a certain type of music now, or a new band, doesn't mean you guys are going to go write a record like that or start incorporating that into your music. You guys know what you are and what you're good at." And I think that's one of the things I respect about you guys is you've never been trend hoppers. You've stuck to your own thing, and that's something that you guys deserve some respect for. Not a lot of bands can say they haven't been affected by trends,
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think, at the time that we were kind of starting, there was a handful of bands that were kind of drawing from the same wells that we were, leaning a little more into like the heavier metallic 90s sound. I think like Shipwreck and Foundation are two that come to mind. But it wasn't really a very like popular or like, of the time sound to be doing, at the time. I think more recently, I'm kind of surprised to see a lot of that come back in style and back in fashion. But, yeah, I think, at the time it wasn't like, common or popular thing to be influenced by.
Yeah, no. Hey, you guys started, what year was Incendiary starting out?
Can you repeat that, Chris?
Yeah, what year did you guys start?
I think it was officially 2012. Or no, I'm sorry. 2007, 2008?
2007. Yeah. So it's been what? Okay. It's been a while. You know, it was weird. Me and Artie, one of the owners of St. Vitus, were talking about this the other day on his episode, which is that there was a weird transition where heavy music got super popular again, especially in the city. But you guys were kind of on that, you know, you were doing your own thing in Long Island before this whole resurgence came back, which is cool. But it's just nice to see you be able to reap the benefits of that all these years later. You know, I want to go back to the old days. This is actually a interesting topic. You know, going to the Long Island days. Someone actually asked, "What's your favorite Crime in Stereo song?"
Ooh, Crime in Stereo song? Man, that's tough. You know what's funny? I've actually been on a big Crime in Stereo kick the last couple of weeks. I think when like the weather starts getting nicer, I get the itch for that. Man, I'm gonna have a real hard time narrowing it down to one single song. I'll say that the release that I've been listening to most recently is that the Contract EP, the EP that I think came out either just before or just after Troubled Stateside. It's four songs. I've been listening to that release a lot. I think it's kind of an often overlooked release, but like honestly, like all Crime in Stereo, I support and back. Even the later records that, you know, I know we're kind of polarizing among people, fans of the band. I still love those records. I go back to those records all the time. Yeah. You know, actually, I just saw something on these comments that I do want to clear up. This is not white. This is not white wine. This is a craft cocktail from a lovely bar in Greenpoint called Diamond Lil that I'm sure some of these people watching know. They've been doing these like big to-go specials where they're giving out or they're selling big bottles of like pre-made cocktails that you can take away totally contactless or whatever. We indulged in one of those and I'm having one now. It's not white wine with an ice cube.
Told you we're gonna get some trolls on here. Okay, so we were talking about Crime in Stereo. You and I and a lot of the guys that own St. Vitus work there, we're from Long Island. We grew up in the Long Island hardcore scene, and Crime in Stereo came from that scene too. Ricky Singh from Backtrack, another amazing Long Island hardcore band, wants to know, what are your top 5 Long Island hardcore bands?
Yeah, top 5 Long Island hardcore bands. I mean, man, the first 2 I think are pretty easy. Silent Majority and Vision and Disorder. I think anybody you would meet and ask that question to from Long Island, those would land in the top 5, if not top 3. Beyond that, Subterfuge is a big one, and I know that kind of draws from like Chris, the scene where I think me and you first kind of crossed paths. Subterfuge is a big one that I think often gets overlooked. That whole kind of Eastern Suffolk early 2000s scene I think is often overlooked when it comes to Long Island hardcore. But like Subterfuge and Backup Plan were great bands that came around from that time. I know Artie's watching, so I'll say Mind Over Matter too. And I mean that, and I mean that. And I know just because it's not just because he's watching, but I love Mind Over Matter. I've been listening to them a lot recently, and that's another band that I think is often overlooked when it comes to the larger conversational Long Island hardcore. But if you talk to anybody inside of Long Island hardcore, they will reference that band as kind of like the genesis and grandfathers of the whole thing. I mean, I listen to their records now, and that shit is still ahead of its time. I don't want to gas you up too much, Chris. I'm not going to say On the Might of Princes was one of my favorite Long Island hardcore bands, but I will say that your LP, Where You Are and Where You Want to Be, is one of my favorite Long Island hardcore releases. I think that record has like something for everybody. Like you guys were kind of playing and got lumped into the Long Island hardcore scene because, you know, it was the closest available thing for you guys to play live music and play live shows. But that record fucking stands up, and there's something for everybody in there. So if people out there haven't heard it, I would check that out.
Thank you, man. And
is that 5? I think that's close enough, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think you named more than 5, but it's cool to let anyone watching know. Look, there's a lot of people that hang out at St. Vitus that know about the club, that are into different types of music, and Vitus caters to a little bit of everything, guys. They've had, obviously, as we were saying earlier, you know, Hum has played there, Incendiary, and VOD and, you know, some of the other guests that we'll have on the show very soon, Dillinger Escape Plan. And anyway, the point of what I'm trying to say here is that the origin of the club, which is kind of cool, is that a lot of us that came from Long Island, we all grew up, I think, on a lot of metal, but we also grew up on a lot of other styles. And we get to do what we do now and have a place like Vitus. So, you know, we're able to do so much stuff there, whether it's a goth show or a doom metal band or a thrash band. And right now it's a really tough time, so we could really use your help. And if you visit St. Vitus on Facebook, there's a link to the Venmo. The entire staff really needs your help, and hopefully we're going to get through this on the right side so that more bands and more parties can happen. What would you say are your favorite shows or moments going to St. Vitus? I know you live in the neighborhood.
Yeah, sure. So I think I kind of inadvertently named my two of my favorite shows, or two that really stand out earlier. That Hum show was awesome. That was something, like, I think the Hum show in particular was kind of like what Vitus is so good at. It was great to see a band in a small room like that, but have the benefit of like a big room sound. You know what I mean? Like, that's a band where, like, I think, like, sound, how they sound live kind of matters. And like Vitus had that dialed in, and I still got to see them in like a small intimate space. That Glassjaw show there, like a year or two ago, I think that was like, I don't know, 2018 or 19. That was probably like the wildest Vitus show I've ever been to. The Glassjaw show. I think it was just them.
I missed that. I was really bummed about that.
Yeah, and I've seen some shit there, and that show was definitely like the most like difficult to like get into that showroom. You know what I mean? Like, if you didn't want to like if you wanted to be in the show, like, you had to like participate and like be in the crowd.
Right.
That show was probably the wildest show I've seen there. Other shows I've just had a lot of fun at. When Most Precious Blood did the Nothing in Vain reunion there.
I missed that. I saw that on the YouTube channel. It was fucking, it looked awesome.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Seeing Carcass there. I was just talking to Dave about this, or had an exchange with him on Facebook. Seeing Carcass there was fucking nuts. That's another band that, like, I never thought I'd get to see, period. And then got to see them down the block in like in a small room. Personally, I had a little too much fun at that show, and missed the back half of their set due to falling ill. But that was a great one. And then one that I always remember, just for being like a fun night, was, I think it was like 2012. They did, when that Power of the Riff festival was still happening.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The main show was across the street from me over here at the Warsaw, and then a couple bands that we're friends with, Zabalba and Power Trip, did an after show at Vitus that I think was like very late night. And I always remember that fondly because it was just like a fun day all around. Like, we got to hang out in the neighborhood all day, see some of our friends from out of town, and get to spend some time with them, and then get to see them play later on that night.
That's a really special thing about Vitus, is that it's it's a small space that has notoriety, and I always compare it to CBGB's, because CBGB's didn't really have a backstage dressing room or anything. It was kind of gnarly, and they had these huge bands play there and the smallest bands play there, but it was a haven for everybody. So, it's one of those cool places where you can spend an entire day there and even go to an after party afterwards. There's always shit going on at night. It's not just bands and stuff. Hey, before we get off topic from the Long Island thing, anybody watching that's a fan of Incendiary, if you want to know, somebody said, I want to see a list. If you want to know where we all came from in Long Island and bands that you should check out that are essential, I would start with Neglect, Mind Over Matter, Crumbsuckers, Silent Majority, Glassjaw, obviously people on Glassjaw, but VOD. These are kind of the bands that if they weren't around, we wouldn't exist. And that's something I want to shout out. So anyway, you guys started out a while ago, and now you're doing this thing called Product of New York, which I love. And you did 2 days of Product of New York in St. Vitus. One day was with Still Suit. And if I remember, I think that was, who played those two shows?
Yeah, so that was basically just like a one-time thing. I don't know if we're really gonna if we have really plans to make that like an annual thing or anything, but that actually, a lot of that came from Dave. We kind of, that's part of the reason why like we feel like so at home with Vitus, is because like before Dave was booking at Vitus, like he was like one of the first people that like took interest in our band and like booked us in New York City, period. So we've always kind of like trusted him and like his guidance and his opinion as like just like an invested third party that we trust. And you know, when it was getting time for us to think about booking like another New York show, which we're pretty selective about just because we don't get to we don't get to play a whole lot. So when we do play New York, we want to try to make it like a more of a special thing. Our last 3 shows at that point had all been at Brooklyn Bazaar.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. It was a great venue. But they had all been there and they had all been great. But you know, just personally, we were kind of getting bored of the same thing. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't expect someone coming to see us to be excited about it if I'm not even excited to play the same show again. So we were just trying to think of like, how can we like make our next show just be different and have something be different. And we met up with Dave just to like bounce some ideas off of him. And we were like, oh, you know, what if we do like just like a random like weeknight small show at Vitus? And he was the one who was like, you know, it's got to be. He's like, well, you have to do 2 nights. And Brendan and I are always kind of like, I don't know if we got it like that, like 2 nights. Yeah. That's a little ambitious. But Dave got us really excited in the idea. We kind of bounced around some ideas. We thought it'd be cool if we could try to keep it all New York bands to try to give it like a little bit of an extra, you know, narrative, and we could kind of put some spotlights on some, you know, new bands that we believed in, with Rule Them All and Pass Away and Perfect World. And then we also got to bring on a band and shine a little light on a band that like we all grew up loving, Still Suit, yep, that had recently become a little more active, and got to have them play in front of, you know, our crowd in our room and hopefully turn some new people onto them, because they're a great band and they're literally still like on top of their game. I was blown away. So that was kind of like the idea for that and how it all came together. And yeah, we ended up doing 2 nights there, both sold out, and those were probably the best shows that we've ever gotten to play there.
Yeah, those were some amazing shows, and the selection was great. I personally would love if you guys made that a thing. I'm just saying, you have my vote, but that's up to you guys. And shout out to, while we're shouting out bands that we grew up on, shout out to Still Suit. They were a great band. Julian's watching right now, so what's up, man? And it's really cool to see them come back. I think they're going to be putting some stuff out. They were on Axe to Grind. Hey, there he is. There's Julian. They were on Axe to Grind, which is Tom Sheehan from Indecision, his podcast. By the way, we should also give a shout out to Indecision. They were a big influence on you guys, I can tell.
Yeah, arguably the biggest influence. I mean, everything. I mean, sonically for sure, but like just everything, like aesthetically, ethically, lyrically, like everything about that band still holds up and hits just as hard as like the first time I heard it. I just saw them play on Long Island with Gorilla Biscuits a couple weeks ago, and like it's like one of if not the only band that still gets me to to mosh in 2020. I couldn't even.
God, yeah, hell yeah. They were just one of those bands that like those records hold up, and the first Most Precious Blood record is unbelievable.
Yeah, it still hits just as hard as like the first time I heard it.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get Tom Sheehan on the show. We're talking about it. He's actually still working, so I got to figure out his schedule, but we're going to hope to get him on the show soon. So You guys should check out Axe to Grind. That's a great podcast that Tom Sheehan hosts. Who are your main influences, not to sound redundant, when you started Incendiary? What was the sort of conversation or discussion, or was it just like you guys just showed up and started jamming and this is what came out, or did you have a discussion about, you know, this is kind of what I want to sound like? How did that come together?
Yeah, so Incendiary was actually already a band before I linked up with them. They had a demo out that was kind of with Dan Tur, who I think is watching, on bass at the time. Brendan and Dan Tur kind of started that and wrote wrote the demo. I joined shortly after and helped write and release the Amongst the Filth 7-inch. So that's kind of where I started with Incendiary. But yeah, they kind of had the vision. They wanted it to be heavy. They wanted to reference, you know, 90s hardcore bands like Snapcase and Indecision and Strife and Trial and things like that. And I was all in. I mean, that's exactly up my alley and the exact type of shit that I listen to. So, and we were friends anyway. They were having some problems with the lineup of the guys that they had in place. People were moving, people were, getting jobs and whatever. Yeah, I mean, I like the sound already. We were friends anyway. We always wanted to like be part of the conversation and have a reason to hang out. We never planned on doing a fraction of any of the shit we do now.
Yeah, amazing.
But,
we should point this out. Like, didn't your last record end up on the Billboard charts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what that actually means, but
right.
Yeah,
it's such a crazy thing to think
it
of.
It is crazy. I'll tell you what, like that. So that did happen, and it did not feel like nearly as cool as I thought it would as a kid. Like,
sure,
I was like at work, white knuckled, doing bullshit, and then I got some like notification about it. I was like, oh great, and then.
No, I mean, that's not the goal, of course, when you start a band like Incendiary or a hardcore band for sure. I mean, I don't know, depending on who you talk to, but it is a testament to how important or impactful your band is. The fact that you're not a full-time band, you're not trend hopping, and you're not doing anything that's too accessible. You know what I mean? So it's cool. It shows that people still like angry music and hardcore is alive and well, and I'm just happy that you guys get that recognition. So that's dope, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yo, with the last couple minutes here before Brendan takes on, I want to talk about some dumb shit. I see a lot of dumb shit flying in the comments.
Yeah, let's do it.
I want to handle some of that. Somebody asked earlier, Dirty Work or Kingpin. I think I gotta say Dirty Work. Dirty Work, I think, holds up better. It has more rewatch value. I think I quote Dirty Work more, and I think more people get it when I do quote it. I know there's a few like real Kingpin fans out there that I can like drop a reference and they'll get, but like by and large, Dirty Work is the more quotable and rewatchable movie for me.
Let me get back to the questions. I'll do it for you. What favorite Indecision record?
My favorite Indecision record?
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be the Most Precious Blood LP, the Indecision. Most Precious Blood LP. Yeah. That one hits super hard. Very consistent. I love the fucking cover artwork. I have the promo poster of it up on my wall right now. I think that's my favorite LP. Yeah.
All right. 2-part question. Best pizza in New York and best pizza on tour.
I mean, I don't know, man. I like Triangolo and Greenpoint down here. It's pretty good. The pizza on tour. I live in New York. Nowhere on tour is going to beat that.
There you go. I don't know if we missed anything else, but yo, if you're watching, I'm wearing a Beer Street shirt right now. Shout out to Beer Street, Corey Bonfiglio. It's a great bar in Greenpoint, and they need your help too. So check out Beer Street on social.
Cold Slice Long Island. I saw that. Honestly, I think that shit's pretty overrated. Like, it's cool. They just dump a handful of cheese on like an okay slice. I think they just kind of like made it up, and it's like a shtick now.
What is this guy asking?
Yeah.
What are these guys asking? All right. Well, fuck it. What do we got? We got 3 minutes here. Do you see any other fucking what's in the drink?
I told you this is an old fashioned. I want to shout out Big Breakfast. I see him watching Long Island hip hop.
Yo, New Jersey Hardcore gave a shout out to Dan Tur, who's watching. Inked Up merch. If you need band merch or t-shirts, follow Inked Up merch.
Dan
all right,
Tur's man.
We're all talking about pizza now. That's what we're up to. Jesus Christ. Well, look, we only got a few minutes here until we switch over. We got 2 minutes, but dude, I'm pumped that you guys decided to do this with me. And
yeah, I mean, we hang out all the time anyway, and if we can't go to the gym right now, we might as well do this.
Absolutely, man. We're trying to make the best use of our time, and hopefully you guys will be back on your feet, and we can see you guys play.
Yeah, listen, we're not on our feet. A lot of other bands are hurting a lot more than we are. Support them. We're doing just fine over here. So we're not on the road nearly as much as all these other guys are. So, fortunately, we're not being as impacted as much as a lot of other bands out there are. So support somebody else before you support us with that stuff.
Absolutely. Julian from Stillsuit, who worked at a lot of Italian joints.
Qualified opinion.
A lot of comments here, but he's got some good ones. Lucali, Keisty, Joe's. But you know what? I'll say he got here, which is I got to give a shout out to. Also because a lot of the staff at St. Vitus used to work there is Little Frankie's in the Lower East Side. You can get Italian food there late at night, if you're fucking wasted and you just need a place to get some food, go to Lil Frankie's. That place is the shit. And they used to have the Black and Blue radio right next door, so it has.
Oh my god, that shit used to be so fun. Oh my god.
Yeah. Black and Blue radio. Yo, do you have
shout
any,
out Black and Blue?
Yeah, you got any fucking last words? Anything stupid you want to fucking say? Any shout outs? Anything?
Shout out RTF. Shout out Beer Street. Shout out Vitus. Thank you.
Fuck yeah, man. I'm sorry if we didn't get to
shout out
talk
PCC too.
What's that?
Shout out PCC too.
Oh yeah, dude. Physical Culture Collective. I mean, literally, everyone needs your help. So Gavin Van Vlack from the legendary New York hardcore band Burn owns a gym called Physical Culture Collective. And me and Brendan and Brian work there. We work out there. We don't work there, but you'll always run into people there. One of my guests coming up, Todd Friend from H2O, he's there. I know I'm name dropping, but it's just a fun place. And if you like hardcore, you can go there, and it's just a great place to run into people, your heroes, meet some new friends. And
it's a great place to go and beat Chris Enriquez's ass. It's fun.
Yeah,
we do it almost once a week. Whenever he decides to show up, we beat his ass. It's fun.
I love you. I love you very much, man.
I love you too, man. I'm gonna pass it over to Brendan. All right.
Let's pass it over, man. All right.
Thanks, man.
Peace out. All right, guys. I'm gonna pass while we're taking a break here. You can go on the St. Vitus website and buy merchandise. This is a St. Vitus ring that I'm wearing right now. I got a St. Vitus long sleeve behind me. We got St. Vitus winter hats. You got St. Vitus scarves if you want a St. Vitus scarf. Got a couple St. Vitus baseball caps. Got hoodies. Got a whole bunch of shit. But anyway, again, visit the St. Vitus Facebook and find out how you can donate and help these guys out. We're going to get Brendan in here right now. It's the lead singer of Incendiary. Very stoked.
What up? What's going on, dude?
Hey, man, nothing much. I'm just hanging out, talking to Audley, one of my favorite dudes, and now I got you on. So thank you for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me, man. I love that you're doing this. It's a cool idea.
Yeah, man. Well, check it out. We answered a lot of questions. We did a lot of fun stuff with Audley. I'm going to kind of just jump in.
What the hell's left?
Well, no. I'm going to ask you the same questions. I'm getting into it with you, man. So,
Okay.
Top 5 Long Island hardcore bands.
Subterfuge and the Backup Plan, for me personally, growing up in Smithtown, that was it for me. VOD. They deserve.
I think hey, Brendan, your Wi-Fi got fucked up. So the last thing we heard you say was Subterfuge and Backup Plan.
Oh shit, am I lagging? Is my Wi-Fi bad?
Yeah, you are. Maybe. Yeah, it might be. You might want to take yourself off Wi-Fi. That might help, actually. See if that works. Yeah, it's kind of like.
Let's see. Let's walk around a little bit.
Getting a little weird over there. Yeah, no problem. Your face is kind of just on a freeze frame right now, so I don't see you moving or anything like that. But don't worry. We'll yeah, it is Wi-Fi. Definitely Wi-Fi. We'll hang tight. There he is. Okay, he's back. Let's try that again. So you were mentioning Subterfuge and Backup Plan. Oh man, I don't think that we're. He's gonna rejoin, but you know what? I'll give you mine. Mind Over Matter, number 1. Solid Majority, number 2. Glassjaw, number 3. Garden Variety, number 4. And Neglect, number 5. Okay, let's try that again. We went to commercial break. What's up, guys?
Yo.
Boom! He's
Dude.
back, baby. He's back. All right. So,
4G, 5G, 2G, who knows? My bad.
Fucking apparently the Wi-Fi service has COVID-19 too. What are you gonna do?
Straight up. Good one. What's happening?
All right, top 5 Long Island hardcore. Go.
Backup Plan, Subterfuge, VOD, Silent Majority, and I'm going Backtrack.
Wow, look at that. Yeah,
That's
Backtrack
right.
played.
Well-deserved spot.
Yeah, Backtrack is badass. I saw one of the last shows at Brooklyn Bazaar, and man, I got to tell you, like, I've been going to shows for a while. That show was fucking brutal. People were going fucking nuts, dude. I hadn't seen anything like that in a while.
Legends.
It's really inspiring to see
Hell
that.
yeah.
So, let me ask you a question that I have for you. What point in your life did you realize that you were interested in music beyond just being a fan of it?
I got into this whole thing through playing the drums, actually. So, a man after your own heart. So, I started playing the drums from a pretty early age, and then I started listening to bands that were playing faster, and at the time, like punk and like playing at that speed kind of blew my mind. And so that's like how I got into a lot of like different kinds of music in terms of like alternative and outside of the mainstream. And then from there, I guess it just kind of like opened up the gates for me to check out all these other different things. So it was very much from the instrument of playing the drums, honestly, which is ironic because I don't play the drums that much anymore, but I'm trying to change that. But yeah, that's kind of like where it all started for me. And then once I got into the like local scene in Long Island, that it was very attractive to me, the ability, the sort of the low bar of stepping to play music and to have a band, to have a bad band, but to still get shows. I think I like that personally. So yeah, I think it all kind of stemmed from that, from playing.
Was Incendiary the first band you sang in?
It was, yeah, yeah. So the whole reason that happened is because when I had moved back to the city, or moved back to New York, period, after college, I knew I wanted to do a band. I was playing in bands in school when I was away at college, but I was playing the drums, and I'd always play the drums in every band. And then really I was like, nah, this is gonna be pretty annoying to like lug my shit around and keep my, keep my drums in my apartment. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just try to sing. And that's truly the only reason why I sing is
Yeah,
because
no.
the drums are annoying. That's pretty much it.
I have a couple of questions about lyrical stuff, but I don't want to ignore anybody. We have an interesting question coming from the homie Jesse Zookman over in Seattle. He wants to know, did you guys make the Alistair Black song? I'm going to let you answer that.
Okay, so the Alistair Black theme song. So there's a duo called the CFOs who wrote basically all of the WWE entrance music for the last, I think, like 5 years or something like that. Our guitar player, Rob, went to school with John, a good friend of ours, who is one half of that duo. Alistair requested sort of like a feel of the song. The CFOs wanted to do the vocals, and then they wrote the song. We sort of collaborate on the lyrics with Alistair, with myself, with Brian, with the CFOs, and with Rob. Sorry, and then from there, that's what basically came out of it, is that entrance music, how we sort of tailored it to be entrance music thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, did you
Very
get all
cool,
that, Chris? I
man.
think I
And
copped out for a sec.
we can hear you, but the Wi-Fi is getting a little weird. But we heard that, and I'm just gonna maybe I don't know if you could maybe get off Wi-Fi, if that'll help, because now we're getting a freeze on the screen. But I will just support that by saying, if you go on YouTube and look up the Alistair Black performance with Code Orange and Incendiary, you can watch that on YouTube, and it's pretty fucking epic. I think, you guys, that was the first time there was ever live music.
At this point.
Yeah, let's see if this works. Yeah, it's a little, yeah, I mean, it's working. It's still a little blurry, but we're good. We could work with this. Yeah, so people can go on YouTube and check that out. Maybe move a little bit. Yeah, all right, that's cool. Somebody here wants to know if you guys are ever going to go play in Chile.
Yeah, so South America, I've talked to a lot of kids there. I mean, we were in Mexico, which is not South America, but we met a lot of bands when we were in South America, or excuse me, when we were in Mexico from South America. Shout outs to Questions from Colombia. And like we developed a lot of relationships there. I would love to go down there. We get asked all the time, but I hope we can one day for sure.
Yeah, and I hope that you guys can just get up and running. I know you guys aren't full time, like I was saying with Audley, but you know, there's a lot of people on here earlier asking for you guys to come to France and Australia and now Chile. So
yeah,
demand. Oh
yeah. I mean, we've gotten around. I'm proud of the fact of like what we've done so far. I mean, I think there are a few other places that we need to get to or are overdue to play, and that's a big priority for us. I think once this fucking insanity, calms down.
Yo, shout out to Strife LA watching. That's awesome. Yo,
what up, Andrew? The fucking legends. There would be no Incendiary without Strife. Real talk.
Oh man, I fucking love Strife.
Mm-hmm.
What was the moment when you realized that Incendiary was getting to a level, beyond, like for example, I saw you guys when you were playing to like fucking 10 people, you know what I mean? What, do you remember the moment when you started to notice that things were changing?
There were a lot of little things that sort of like it was always a slow build for us, right? Like I think our record release for Crusade was, we like headlined, and I think that was maybe our first headlining show. I think we headlined. And that was kind of like, oh, people are here to see us. And then there was a couple other moments. The one thing I do remember is one of the times we played Seattle, Rainfest. It was like a great festival out there. I had like such good taste in music. I remember sort of like walking out on stage and seeing like everybody up front instead of like the fuck you mosh horseshoe. And I distinctly remember that as being like, oh shit, like this is sort of like changed a little bit. I think once we went through some of the early sort of moshcore, not moshcore, but like some of that violent stuff to more of like a participation type of show environment, that changed a lot for us. And I think a lot of that had to do with when Cost of Living came out. So if you want like a true like line in the sand, it was when our second record came out, for sure.
Yeah, no, I definitely, man. You know what I always appreciated about you guys lyrically is that, I don't know if I'm just missing something here, because there's a lot of hardcore bands that are great that are out there now. But I was going to say, like, growing up for us, the social, political aspect lyrically was always a big deal. Like, it was always a message. And a lot of, if you listen to VOD's like earlier material, even like, Dropping the Oppressor, and just like all hardcore, back then had a message, and you guys still today maintain that, and I miss that, and I think it's so important. Do you think that's something missing today, or are there other bands out there that I'm just snoozing on that are, still staying to that sort of thing?
I mean, I think it's coming back in a big way. It's been interesting to kind of see the ebb and flows of things. Like I caught let me start off from me personally. Like I wouldn't know what to write about if it wasn't for that. That was what hardcore music was for me. So it wasn't like I'm going to start a band and we're going to talk like this. Like this is to me what every hardcore band, if you're not like, I don't have the lyrical talent of like Wes from American Nightmare or something like that, right? Like where he can explore all these other themes. I guess sometimes I probably tried to varying degrees of success, but like that's what it was, what hardcore music was to me. It was sort of that socio-political angle. I think in terms of what's going on now, so I caught some of Brian's shit before. Like he was pretty right. Like when we started, like there were some other bands playing our quote unquote style of music, but it was not in vogue. Like 2007, 2008 was, coming out of like the worst era of like stupid two-step hardcore, like melodic stuff that like was really, and I don't really like that much. And I think that now it's like pretty popular. Like this style is pretty popular. And I think along with that, people were checking out bands like Strife. people were checking out Earth Crisis and then now kind of emulating that, which in my personal palette, like I love that shit because I love Earth Crisis and Strife. So yeah, I do think you're going to see a comeback with that more. Plus the fact that, you know, we have a fucking terrorist in office and people are probably angry about who's in office now. And that's always going to drive sort of the meat behind like socio-political content, is just like you saw during the Bush era, honestly. So I think you're going to see more and more of that too.
Well, as you said, that's awesome. Well said. As you said, and I agree with you, that is what hardcore is. I mean, hardcore started out in the Reagan area because of Ronald Reagan being in office.
Exactly.
And so, it's unfortunate to go through the times we're going through, but there's always a great, musical revolution that comes, hopefully from it, and hopefully there's something coming now. But yeah, there's some really good bands out there that I've been checking out lately. I really like Mind Force. That's a band I've been
rules.
Who are Sanctions? Another one in Long Island that's really good.
Yep.
Rule the Ball. What are some of the current hardcore bands that you're feeling these days?
Let me see. I like Magnitude. They're a straight edge band. I think they're from North Carolina. They're sick. I love Hangman from Long Island. They're awesome. There are some bands starting out in LA, which is just like a dominant scene, like Drain and stuff like that are sick. There is some like more like metallic grindy stuff, or not really grindy, but just more thrashy, like Steel Cage in NYC, and Shoutouts to Terry. So there is a lot of what I think is different now is like it's not necessarily dominated by one style. Like I think in the early 2000s, like you had, melodic hard. It was Youth Crew, then melodic, then it changed, and now there's like so many heavy bands, maybe like a year or two ago. But now I feel like there's room for every style of band to exist. If you look at some of the sort of like festival or bigger lineups, you see just how different a lot of the, how varying the music is from all different types, from Sanction to like Result of Choice to Fiddlehead. Like it does vary now. And I think the spectrum, they're great. I think the spectrum is what's different nowadays that you don't necessarily see back in the day, where it was really dominated by one style, Yeah,
totally, man. Yo, so I asked Brian this question earlier, since we're on the St. Vitus Instagram. You live in the neighborhood. I've seen you there.
Greenpoint. It's good.
Shows, and we're going with a sort of list format. But what are some of your notable memories and favorite shows? I mean, we could just stick to the top five. But like, do you have like 5 notable shows that you saw at St. Vitus that you that stick out in your mind?
Yeah, dude. So, all right, St. Vitus it's my Graceland, sir. Like that's my spot. And because I used to live literally down the street from it, and then I've moved farther south over the years in Greenpoint, for those Greenpoint insiders watching. So number 1 has to be Carcass. Fucking insane.
Wow. Yeah. Everyone keeps talking about that. Yeah.
And then I've been trying to think about some other things that I saw there over the years, because I saw Yob there, which was amazing. I saw Braid there, which was fantastic. I love Braid. I saw Raina Maria there, which was great. I know these aren't very metal answers. Sorry.
No, I love them.
I think I saw Suffo there. I saw Torch there like 50 times. Torch is the best band in the world. Geez, let me think of what else. There's been a lot of, there's been so many legendary shows there that it's like almost hard to keep up. I saw St. Vitus at St. Vitus. First, I think didn't they play there twice?
I think they played there a few times. I wasn't at any of those
Yeah.
shows. Some of the ones you mentioned, I was at. Yob is one of my favorite shows, and they played a bunch of times. But like, I saw Yob at St. Vitus, and there were people crying. I mean, it was like one of those. And it's hard to explain, what it's like watching that band, but they're just an interesting band. And you're interesting because you Audley and I were talking about this too, because you guys have very diverse musical taste. It doesn't necessarily translate to what you play, which is cool.
Yeah.
You're a big 90s indie rock kind of. I'm calling it indie rock. Some people might call it emo, but you mentioned Braid. That was a really good show. And I think Raina Maria was maybe New Year's Eve or something like that.
They played there a couple times. I think we'd need to go to Mr. Castillo for the authority on that. But yeah, I don't think I saw them on. No, the most recent time I think they played there was New Year's Eve. But for the time I saw them was just a regular gig. But yeah, man, I try to be as eclectic as possible, just based on what I've always gotten into.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man, St. Vitus has given us a place to go see just about everything. And when I grew up in Long Island, it's always like that. And so it's cool that they still carry that whole, just that diversity. And, hopefully if they get back on their feet after this, everything will get back to normal and we could keep hanging out and doing some more shit there. Yo, so
Vitus will never die. Ever.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, if you're tuning in now, visit the St. Vitus Facebook page to find the Venmo so you could donate and help them out and help out the staff during this difficult time.
Chris, I'm trying not to look at all these comments because I feel like I'm going to get distracted.
It's cool, man. Is there anything that I'm missing that we should be talking about?
I see a question.
Okay.
Better side, promise ring, Texas is the reason split.
Yeah, do you know that split 7-inch? That was a great
yeah. What do you think? I was born yesterday? Yeah. Probably Texas. However, didn't Texas the Reason do an after show at Vitus? I feel like am I making that up, or I'm pretty sure that
On the Might of Princes played that show.
That's right.
That was
That's
a really
right.
fun
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. So many crazy shows, especially like 6 years ago. Right after Vitus opened and they started just really ramping up their shows, there were so many good gigs, man. It's awesome.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if we missed any other questions here because it's so hard.
This is your job, man.
Yeah, I know. Best show at St. Vitus was Incendiary last 4th of July. Yo, I was talking to Audley about that. Do you have any interest in doing Product of New York as a regular thing, or is that kind of just
making it a thing? Yeah, we would. I think I like the idea of all New York lineups. I like the idea of like local openers, and I suppose that sounds redundant, but like it's not always, right? Like I think a lot of times with the dominance of like tour packages coming in, I think it can be harder for bands to like get on shows when you're new. So I love the idea of like having a diverse lineup of New York bands, of people who live in the city or Long Island or Jersey or whatever. But like, yeah, totally. We did 2 nights at Vitus, both sold out, and that shit it made me very, very happy. You know what I mean? A lot of friends came, and I think it's something that Vitus has been known for, such a metal venue, but in reality, they've had a lot of really great hardcore shows there as well. And all other genres, obviously, but I think that's cool that, we were able to have like a true hardcore show there too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I got a funny question here from New Jersey Hardcore.
All right, what's up?
If you could be an animal, what kind of animal would you be? New Jersey Hardcore.
I don't know, man. I feel like maybe I'm trying to think of something easy. Like a gorilla, maybe, like top of the food chain. I guess dealing with people would suck, but I'm just trying to hang out, like eat food. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Nothing where like I'm constantly having to look over my shoulder and stuff. Yeah, probably like a gorilla or like a blue whale or something like that.
Wow. All right. A blue
excellent question. Yeah.
All right. So let me say this. Interesting transition. You've done stand-up comedy.
I did. Yeah, I did. I did that for a while. We had the history of that is like we had some friends who started really organically with putting on, actually kind of similar to like hardcore, is like putting on their own shows at their own places and their own venues. And so like I gave it a shot a couple times. It's cool. It's way harder than anybody thinks. I'm not particularly good at it, but I did perform at St. Vitus, which is tight. I'm glad I could say that. Yeah.
Is that online?
What's that?
Any of the comedy stuff, is it online?
I hope not, bro. I don't think so. I don't know. I did have some good bits, but I don't think I had the true je ne sais quoi that you need. The other thing is I thought I would really love it because like I love comedy and I feel like I'm mildly funny, but I didn't really like it that much. Like it's a lot of prep work, and I think, it's like the difference between something that's funny and then picking the words to explain is precisely how that is funny are two vastly different things.
I guess I never thought about this, and I don't know if this is something that occurred to you, but writing lyrics and coming up with comedy. One thing I'd imagine the two have in common, like aside from the obvious that you're on stage with a microphone and perform, you're also like you have to come up with ways to sort of get a reaction out of people, or just kind of and the comedy thing is gotta be, dude. That's gotta be way more challenging than singing in a band. Like
Well, what are you saying? I'm not talented?
No,
I'm just kidding. I mean, I guess it's good in terms of like commanding a crowd and listening to you. Here's the thing, man. A lot of comedians are like sort of like, a lot of them are sort of like depressed, but also like low key narcissists. And like, I don't care about like being the front man and like wanting all the attention on me. Like I just kind of rock it. You know what I mean? So like, I don't really have the drive of self-promotion and like the ego to make myself like Brendan, the talent. I just kind of want to like be in the bands and just do what I do.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I got a question from somebody, but before we do that, this is pretty dope. We got a greeting from El Salvador. It's fucking dope.
Oh, it's good.
It's awesome that we have people in El Salvador watching us and other.
Hola, mi gente. What's up?
All right, so if you were a wrestler, what would your entrance music be?
Easy. It would be Scourge of Iron by Cannibal Corpse. And when I ultimately am a professional Muay Thai fighter, it will be the same. Yeah, without a doubt. Hardest song ever written, and I'm gonna walk out to that shit. Same riff, the entire song.
Yeah, shout out to I want to shout out struggling businesses right now, and one of those places that you just brought up is a place that we work out at together with Audley, which is Physical Culture Collective. That's Gavin Van Vleck from Burn, legendary New York hardcore band. He owns that gym. We work out there. It's a Muay Thai gym, jiu-jitsu, all sorts of shit. And also shout out to Beer Street. Corey,
good.
Check out Beer Street.
Beer Street North versus Beer Street South. Who's gonna win? I don't know.
I know. Right?
I'm hearing good things about Beer Street South.
Beer Street South is sick.
Big, beautiful venue. Yeah, I don't know. Talking shit on Beer Street North, so we'll see.
Man. I'm sober, so when I go to, I like Beer Street South because I could drink the kombucha over there, which is dope.
Respect.
But, yeah, man, fucking. All right, we're at the 4-minute mark. Obviously no one knows what's going on for Audley. You suck. I'm not even gonna fucking go there,
dude. I purposely am not paying attention to the comments because I'm gonna get sucked in, and all my friends are so funny. I'm never gonna be able to pay attention to you, so I've had to just ignore it. But if there's anything really funny, please let me know.
All right, I'm gonna try not to look at it, but I got 4 questions that just popped up.
Hit me. Rapid fire.
Okay, favorite emo indie bands that people should check out.
I'm gonna go my wave of emo, my preferred wave. I'm gonna go Braid. I'm gonna go. I love the Promise Ring. I'm gonna go the Jazz June. And I'll go, geez, let me think. What's something a little bit different? I don't know.
We're going to get kicked off, so that we're going to get kicked off in 3 minutes.
Sorry. I'll go really faster. Quick. I'll go faster. Hit me.
Favorite 90s band, any genre?
Favorite 90s band, any genre?
Yeah.
Bush.
Wow, really?
I don't know, but I love them. Fuck yeah.
I saw a Bush CD in Audley's car one day, so I don't doubt
I saw a Bush CD in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It was called 16 Stone, and it was also called Razor Blade Suit Days.
Yo, I'm going to make this quick. If you guys are just tuning in and you didn't get to watch this episode, it's going to be up for the next 24 hours on the St. Vitus Instagram.
Yes,
it's also going to be on my personal YouTube channel, Chris Enriquez. We've been talking to Incendiary, Brian, Audley, Brendan, Garrone. My name's Chris. I play in the band Spotlights. We're here on St. Vitus trying to help them out. And yeah, man, you could go visit their site, buy some merch. They got merch behind me.
Fuck yeah.
I know I look like Rick to life right now, but you're still cold. You got the St. Vitus scarf. You got all sorts of St. Vitus shit. You got
Favorite beatdown band is Nasty. Thank you, sir, for asking me that. Or Bulldoze, the originals. Are we done?
Almost. Let's do this before we get kicked off, really quick. Favorite TV show on Netflix?
The Office or Parks and Recreation. I love them both.
Okay. Okay. What's your favorite 25 to Life song?